Thank you, Mr Speaker, and can I thank the Prime Minister for advance copy of her statement. All of us share with the Prime Minister an abhorrence and disgust at the bombing that took place in Derry over the weekend, and we're delighted at the efforts of the emergency services that made sure there was no loss of life. But, Mr Speaker, in the light of that, it was disturbing to see media reports this morning, at least of the potential of the opening up of the Good Friday Agreement. Now, I welcome the comments from the Prime Minister this afternoon, but can she confirm that she will neither seek to amend or add to the Good Friday Agreement in any way? Many of us remember the dark days that Northern Ireland went through. This weekend's attack was a frightening reminder of the fragility of the peace in Northern Ireland. Mr Speaker, on the subject of talks, the SNP entered willingly into talks with the Prime Minister last week, and we remain ready to engage in those talks on the basis that we can discuss pausing Article 50, taking no deal off the table and discussing a people's vote. But when the Prime Minister talks about no preconditions, in the letters which have gone back and forward between the two of us, the Prime Minister insists that the United Kingdom must leave the European Union on the 29th of March. Mr Speaker, that is not consistent with a desire to discuss a people's vote. All preconditions must be taken off the table if we are to engage in meaningful dialogue. The SNP know that the Prime Minister's strategy is now to run down the clock, and I would have to say there is no sign that she is interested in meaningful talks or meaningful change. Prime Minister, take no deal off the table. You tell me that you have no desire for no deal. The Foreign Secretary has no desire for no deal. The Chancellor has no desire for a no deal. The Leader of the Opposition has no desire for no deal. The SNP has no desire for no deal. Neither do the Liberal Democrats, Plaid Cymru or the Greens. So let's stop this charade, because if we were to have a people's vote, we would have to extend Article 50. To say that today the only option is to revoke it is not true, although in our case we would welcome that in any case. Mr Speaker, on the basis of the result last week of a defeat of 230 votes, the Prime Minister has not come here with fundamental change. This government is a farce. It's an embarrassment, and the leadership is shambolic. The Prime Minister now must step up. We must extend Article 50 and end this impasse by bringing forward a second EU referendum. Do it for all sorts of reasons, but do it for the EU citizens living in the UK and now facing a registration scheme. Now, I am grateful and I congratulate the Prime Minister that the fees have been waived for EU nationals, a campaign that's been led by the Scottish National Party and our government in Edinburgh. It is shameful that those here, many have been here for decades, are being forced to register to stay in their own home. That is the fundamentals of it. Mr Speaker, not in our name. Where is the humanity of this? Mr Speaker, in Scotland we have another choice. We did not vote for Brexit. We will not be dragged out of Europe by a Tory government we did not vote for. We might not be able to save the UK, but we can save Scotland. We have an escape route from the chaos of Brexit, an independent Scotland. Scottish independence will result in our country being a destination in Europe, a country at the heart of Europe, while the rest of the UK turns inwards and isolated from its European neighbours. Mr Speaker, we want no part of it.